All right, today we're talking about how to get traffic and clicks and attention from ChatGPT and Perplexity and Gemini and these all these different AI tools that are coming around. We're going to tell you how to do it here today. My guest today is Jason Patel. I'll tell you more about him in a second, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the Smart Business Revolution podcast, where we feature top entrepreneurs, business leaders, and thought leaders and ask them how they built key relationships to get where they are today. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I am the host of this show, and if you've listened before, you know that every week we have smart CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs from all kinds of companies. And if you look at our archives, we've got Netflix and Grubhub, Redfin, Gusto, Kinko's, YPO, EO, Activation Blizzard. Lots of great episodes for you to check out. So go check out those in the archives. And before we get into this episode, in this interview, this episode is brought to you by Arise25, our company where we help B2B businesses give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. How do we do that? We do that by helping you to run your podcast and your content marketing. We are the easy button for any company to launch and run a podcast. We do three things: strategy, accountability, and full execution. And we even invented a platform called Podcast Copilot that helps us to do all that. So if you want to learn more about it, go to our website, rise25.com, or you can email our team at support@rise25.com. All right, I'm super excited to have today's guest here today. His name is Jason Patel. He is the co-founder and CEO of OpenForge AI. It's a platform of AI agents that automate the entire workflow for AI search marketing, or AEO or GEO or whatever they're calling it today. The bottom line is, we all know that ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, all these tools, Claude, are growing like crazy, and it's changing the way that people get found online and companies get found online. And I've been studying this very closely over the last few months, and I wanted to have Jason on here because OpenForge is really one of the most interesting, innovative platforms that I've seen out there. So, Jason, really excited to have you here today. First, let's get started. So you went to college. Well, even before that, I want to know about little young Jason. We were talking before, and you said you were not that entrepreneurial as a kid. What was young Jason like?
Yeah, I mean, young Jason was a nice kid filled with a lot of anxiety, had a lot of trouble focusing, and I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I would say in my teens, I wanted to go into or work in politics, which is what I studied in college. But overall, I really had no entrepreneurial experiences. The way I became an entrepreneur is really by accident. And what ended up happening was that when I was a student at George Washington University, I helped low-income kids with the college and career process. After graduating, did the same thing, helped low-income kids just doing volunteer work because I really enjoyed it and I enjoyed helping kids with their education. I did really well doing that. A lot of kids were my fans, and especially with young men, I identified with them, and they, I had a large, volunteer clientele. It was awesome. I ended up doing a lot of work with schools in the area, and a lot of the mothers of those young men, especially, said I should start a business around the college and career work and volunteering I was doing. Why? Because they were thinking to themselves, if Jason's doing this volunteering, he's going to burn himself out. So he should make some money doing it, and then volunteer on the side. And it was their idea. So I founded a company called Transition Education. It's a consulting practice, really. That ended up becoming a college and career platform. And then that was acquired.
Before it became a platform, I'm curious. This doesn't sound like an area that is going to have a lot of money in it, right? Like, you've gone from volunteering to, low income kids. I mean, how did you even generate revenue in the early days of this business? How did you keep the lights on?
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't generate revenue.
Okay.
I struggled for a good, I want to say, 3 years before I really any decent money from it. Education is a very tough space. I think only really advanced entrepreneurs should go into it. It's not a place where it's subject to market forces, and the best companies, the best products don't win. They don't even have a chance in a lot of ways because it's a very insular market, and I don't recommend it, to be clear.
So that must have been an incredibly frustrating time. You're a couple of years out of college, probably your friends are going and getting jobs, getting paid, and you're not making much. I mean, that must have been incredibly challenging.
Yeah, I worked a full-time job in women's health and international development. I really enjoyed it, but it just, it wasn't for me. And so when I started the company, I actually worked side jobs, doing social media for small businesses, teaching martial arts. I've been, practicing jujitsu for about 10 years now. I fought Muay Thai in the ring and on a national and a very high level. And so I did some odd jobs on the side just to pay rent, feed myself while running that business. Because at that time, I kind of realized I did want to be an entrepreneur, but I was making no money. And so it was a significant struggle for 3, 4 years. It was really tough, man.
What turned the corner for you? Because I know you discover SEO eventually. Do you start putting efforts into SEO and then all of a sudden it creates traffic to the website and you find a way to monetize it? Is that the story?
Pretty much. What ended up happening was that I started the company end of 2016, let's say. 2018, I began investing more into SEO. I thought, all right, let me write a bunch of articles. The articles are good. And then 6 to 9 months later, the articles ended up getting traction online through Google, which was the traditional SEO route at the time. And we started getting customers. And that's when things took off. And that's when I really began to understand more about SEO. And then we took that SEO and applied it to different marketing efforts within the organization. But SEO was the big thing that I started in, 2018. And that took off, like I said, about, let's say a year later, because that's how long it takes to work. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's when things took off and we, 10x revenue and really began to grow.
And you figured out how did you figure out the business model? Because probably charging students to come for an hour, consult with you, I imagine that wasn't the solution.
Yeah, what ended up happening was that, we would work with schools and that wasn't a great idea either. Schools have limited budgets. And then if you are a larger company competing for a larger line item in the budget, it just takes a very long time. And I needed to feed myself. It's really hard to do
Yeah.
to compete for those contracts. And so it's part of the reason why I left the industry, man. It's like I wanted to work with low income kids and kids who wanted to achieve the American dream. We had to up the package prices to work with parents because if you're cheap, no one trusts you. If you're expensive, then that's the only way you can make money. And then also people trust you. And then so we had to raise prices. And then we ended up pricing out a lot of the lower income kids over time.
Mhm.
And so we ended up doing individual consulting work with parents and families. We did some B2B work within schools. But again, like those are really hard to get. And
Yeah.
so we just had to work with families and parents over the country. We did a great job. We were one of the highest ranked firms and platforms by the time the company was acquired. It's just that we were working with people who, you know, they were going to be fine.
Yeah.
They were middle income
Just
up.
more affluent type of clientele. Yeah.
Yeah, and not
So
even
it wasn't
affluent,
as
middle
personally
income.
gratifying for you.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I love the kids I worked with. I loved them.
Yeah.
Those are my little siblings, and we expanded the company, and we had a really great time. And those kids are really bright, but it was not what I wanted to do spiritually. I wanted to help people who were displaced from the American dream achieve the American dream, and I wasn't doing that. And so,
Was
by the
there
time
so
21,
you sell it in 2023, January 2023, so you're probably working on selling it leading up to that, but also COVID happens. So you have COVID happens and you also have you're asking yourself, do I even want to be in this business anymore? I'm not serving the same clientele that I did before. I don't really enjoy it as much. There must, you had this early period, the first 3 years, which was challenging to put it mildly. And then you also have this period after COVID. Bring me back to that time period. What was that like for you?
I mean, COVID was a time of personal tragedy. I lost someone very close to me, and we took it very seriously.
Hmm.
I lost some friends and family within our community,
Wow.
and then it was horrible. It was a really horrible
Hmm.
time. COVID did increase our company revenue, but notice I'm not saying it was good business because I when you're going through personal tragedy, you
Yeah.
lose someone close to you that you love,
Yeah.
and you're making money because everyone is remote. Like it just it
Yeah.
didn't sit right with me. Not from a moral standpoint, but from a how can I enjoy this when I'm going through loss and my loved ones are going through losses. So our revenue ended up what 3xing during COVID, and it was fine. But by the end of COVID or by the end of 2020, I was checked. I was not. I was checked out of. Hey, I don't want to do this the rest of my life or the next 5 to 7 years. I'm ready to exit. 2021 we ran into hard times, and then so I had to liquidate my life savings, my crypto, everything
Wow.
that I had in my name, my retirement to keep the company afloat. And then we're
Because
fine
everything went back down again and that
because everything went
post.
down. I think we expanded too much during COVID. Um, we also there's a lot of seasonality with the business in general, which
Mm,
I did
yeah.
some of the budgeting wrong, which was a very painful mistake that I've learned from. And so, either way, we expanded a lot during COVID, things contracted, the market was changing. A lot of people didn't know what was going to happen to the world, let alone education. And so, 2021, we ran into some hard times. End of 2021, end of 2022, hard times. Then things picked up. But again, by that time, I was thinking to myself, I'm ready to leave the company. And so the acquire found out about our SEO in the end of 2022, 2023, about like how well we were ranking and stuff. They
Hmm.
reached out to us,
Mm,
cold.
hmm.
And I was like, kind of, I was like, hey, not interested in the number you have offered. And then they came back with another number, a couple months later. And I said, I'm ready to leave the company. I'm not going to be doing an earnout. That is how jaded I was with education and education technology. And, we had an I exited then in August of 2023.
Got it. And so, had you thought about what you wanted to do later, or had you were so dejected with the industry you were in, you just wanted to leave that industry and you weren't sure what was going to be next?
I mean, you could have me run a lemonade stand. I'm going to enjoy myself. I realized through that whole experience that no matter how horrific it got in terms of getting rejected and losing money, liquidating my life savings, working multiple jobs, and then eventually succeeding, like I realized I loved the journey of entrepreneurship. I just didn't like the education space.
Yeah.
And so I knew I wanted to do something else in entrepreneurship and build something. I'm a builder. I want to build something for America, for my customers. I really love building things, but I knew I did not want to do an education. And so my wife and I took some time off. We were supposed to take like months off, like just go away, get off the grid. We were on a beach in St. Lucia 3 days. And I was like, all right, babe, I got to go back. I got to build something. And,
3 days.
I just love entrepreneur. I just love
Yeah.
this stuff. And so, came back and immediately began recruiting, another co-founder, another team. We experimented with different ideas. We just kept coming back to the marketing SEO idea. This is when ChatGPT was beginning to really take off, and
Yeah.
people got to me saying, "Hey, Jason, how do we get on ChatGPT? What do we do?" And I was like, I just didn't pay attention much to it, and then we started getting some real demand for consulting and people needing my help with it, and that's why we started OpenForge.
And I'm curious, you said you have a different co-founder. How did you think about your co-founder for this company versus the previous company?
Yeah, I mean, the co-founder of my first company, he's my boy. I mean, he was at my wedding party. I'm still best friends with him. I think you just have to, manage your risk profile. And I wanted to do something different with my second company. First company, I was like, all right, build a good business. The second company, I wanted to take a really big swing. And so, people have different risk appetites, and so, I, was recruiting a person who was more comfortable with that risk appetite. And that's just different strokes for different folks. Like I mentioned, my co-founder of my first company, he's still my boy, and we still meet up all the time. When I have kids, he's going to be in my kids' lives. He's going to be, he's going to be their godfather or whatever you want to call it. It's a different company now, and we want
Yeah.
to do things here, and we didn't want to pay ourselves with my new co-founder. I said we're not paying ourselves until we come up with a real revenue generating idea, and then the company can sustain it. And so that requires a different risk. And
Yeah.
so, you're
Yeah.
just recruiting someone who's another fit. It's not better or worse. It's just different.
And you have competitors out there. There are other companies out there that are seeking to be the platform to help get found in AI. How did you think about it? Like, how did you think, well, how do we just how can we do something that's different or better?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing one is that fundamentally, business is a long-term battle. It's a 7 to 10, maybe 7 to 12 year horizon. We can say 10 as a nice whole number. And so I don't think about the competition and existentially insofar as, oh man, they did this, so I should be worried. Jeff Bezos has a really good story where I forgot the company, but I forgot the magazine, but the magazine had a really like front page article about Amazon dot bomb, because
Yeah, yeah. Famous one.
Barnes and
Yeah,
Noble,
yeah,
yeah, Barnes and Noble, I believe, was investing in books, and people were saying Amazon's going to get killed.
yeah.
Jeff Bezos calls his team, everyone's worried. And he said, "Listen, worrying about our competitors isn't going to put money in our pockets. We just have to build what we build, and then build it really well. and then we'll see if we win, right? Because you just have to focus on the process, as Nick Saban says, and then go on to winning the market if things work out. So that's how I think about the competition.
Yeah.
That said, a lot of our competitions are just dashboards. They make the customer give them prompts to track, and that's it. We are the orchestration platform. So our AI learns about your business from the get-go. And then it does all the work for you with our AI agents. So we're not just monitoring, but we monitor, we tell you what to do to get seen on ChatGPT, and then our AI agents do all the work for you after learning about your business. So we view AI as a partner, as a co-pilot, as someone, as something that should learn more about the context of your business so that you get really great outputs from it. And so our AI learns about you. It learns about you on a week over week basis. It learns about you the more you use it. And that's how we view our AI systems compared to, what our competitors do.
Got it. Got it. And there are big companies like Ahrefs, SEMrush, which just got sold for multi-billion dollars that are rapidly pivoting into these areas and putting money into it. Do you worry about that? Well, probably not after what you just said, but there's got to be a part of you that worries about these are deep pockets that I'm competing with here.
I have a great deal of respect for Ahrefs, SEMrush, and my
You
competitors.
probably used them for years, I imagine.
I used
Yeah.
Ahrefs to build and sell my first company. I have
Yeah.
love for Ahrefs. I
Yeah.
like Tim Solo
It's a
and
great platform. Yeah.
platform. And it's SEMrush. I've used SEMrush too. And SEMrush is the leader of the space. SEMrush is the OG of the SCM. SEMrush. I don't know the guys who found it, but then there's Rand Fishkin at SEO
Sure.
Moz. I think
Moz.
those
Yeah.
guys are,
Yeah.
are the original gangsters
Yeah.
and a mad respect for them. All right. Ultimately, AI is one of these things where you have to bake it in from the ground up. And I don't think you need a massive company I don't think you need a massive team from the get-go to build a really iconic company. So I think you can have a 50-person or a 100-person company that does $1 billion in revenue or $1 billion in valuation.
Well, so Sam Haltman's saying there's going to be a one-person company that does a
Yeah,
billion dollars in
maybe in the
revenue.
future, but in the future,
He's saying it. Yeah.
yeah, man. So
Yeah.
my point here is that I think a lot of companies in this space are hiring too quickly, or they're already too big, and they're too cumbersome. They're unwieldy to really adapt to the AI age. And the ones that do, like in Ahrefs, which will adapt because they're a phenomenal company, that's good for us. They're validating the market. Number one, number two, they have a different customer, and then number three, you know, the market for AI SEO is going to be 10x what it was for SEO. SEO, generally speaking, for B2B SaaS is a $90 billion industry. I think it's going to be 10x that because everyone is going to need to be on ChatGPT. If someone needs best Malbec for date night with my wife near to buy near me, you're going to want to be a local liquor store that shows up on ChatGPT. If you are a college, you want to be showing up. If you're a global brand, you want to show up. The bottom line is that AI search is customized according to what the user is typing in. And so that means every business needs to be in front of their customers. You're no longer fighting for the 10 blue links. You're fighting for mind share for your ideal customer profile. And if you're not there, you're going to be irrelevant. Why would you want to be irrelevant for the AI age? It makes no sense. It's like I'm a history dork, so this is where my mind goes. But it's like being, it's like being one of the Spain or Britain or France trying to take land in the New World and then completely ignoring the Atlantic Ocean. You're ignoring complete white space for your business if you're ignoring AI SEO or ignoring AI in general, and it's just malpractice if you're ignoring it.
Right. Right. I do want to ask you about there are SEO experts out there who say, look, Google's still huge. Most of the traffic is going to Google, and people shouldn't worry about AI. It'll be a few years, if ever. Like, what do you say to people like that as far as like a business focusing on over-indexing on focusing on AI versus, Google, which is still by far the market leader?
Google is going to be AI. So, for example, if you look at the 10 blue links, on top of the 10 blue links, you'll see that there's a summary there, Google AI overview. That is almost the same thing as a ChatGPT experience.
Yeah.
My prediction is that Google is just going to go straight up into the AI mode, which is someone types in an answer, they get some blue links, but there's just going to be an answer there. So ultimately, Google is moving toward the ChatGPT experience. ChatGPT is going to go more toward the Google AI experience. It'll all be subsumed into the same thing, which is the new SEO, search everywhere optimization, or AI SEO, or generative engine optimization, or answer engine optimization. The point is that no one is going to be reading anything anymore, unfortunately. And so people want the answer given to them there. And therefore, it's up to you as a business to be seen, cited, and selected by the AI. So yeah, Google has, 97 plus or 90, about some massive 99% of the market share. That's great. They're going to be AI mode and they're going to have an AI chat service. They already do, but they're going to embrace that more because that's where the consumer and the buyer experience is going.
Yeah.
ChatGPT it has the same thing right now. The reason why I like people to focus on ChatGPT is, by and large, if you're able to optimize for one, you'll be able to build the operation optimized for Gemini and Google. The other thing with ChatGPT is that a lot of people use it in terms of mindshare. People don't say, "Oh, let me Gemini it." They say, "Let me ChatGPT it." The kids
Yeah.
say, "Oh, did you write this with ChatGPT?" Or if you're
Yeah.
looking for a question for something medical, you ChatGPT it.
Right. Just like Googling it
It
before.
has that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it has that mind share,
Yeah.
that pop culture stuff. I think Sam Altman's a great CEO as well. I mean, he's very ambitious and he's got a big vision. And so, my answer to those people who are saying that Google and ChatGPT are different is I think it's a misunderstanding. Everyone is going toward the chat interface to get their findings, and that means you're just going to be optimizing for the chat interface. You're no longer optimizing for template links.
Yeah. I'm curious. You mentioned earlier about some of these your competitors are building two big teams. So I'm curious about your decisions around building this company. And in particular, you have a degree in political communication, so you're a non-tech founder. I'm curious, like, what some of the challenges have been for you in building really a tech platform as a non-tech founder.
Yeah, I would say that the only challenge has been like snobbery from some venture capitalists, really, who uh, know that I didn't go to a Stanford and
Mm,
I didn't go to a Harvard or a Georgia Tech or something like that. It does suck, right? It does
mm.
suck, but there's nothing I can
Yeah,
do.
GW is a great school, and you sold a company. Jeez.
I think that type of I think elitism and snobbery is never going to go away.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is something that is well known in the VC space. It
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yep.
Will say though is that because I'm a non-technical founder, and I do have a technical founder, my co-founder is technical. He doesn't do any interviews. He just wants to code, which I love. Uh, what I will say is I'm very good at relating to people and building my outside of tech skills. I love my customers. I love talking to them. We're a very customer driven company, which is why we're winning market share, which is why we're very profitable, which is why our customers love us and they tell their friends about us. Um, I'm also good at selling. I'm good at getting on camera and speaking and evangelizing what we do. My YouTube channel for OpenForge has 45,000 subscribers as of this recording. That's more than our venture-backed competitors. So my
Has that
point,
grown? Have you gotten 45,000 subscribers in just since you started the company like 6 months ago, or did you pivot that
four
YouTube
months ago,
channel 4 months
like four
ago?
months ago. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Because you
we
had
have
a different YouTube channel, Jason Patel's Legendary Leader. That was a different
exactly
one.
different one. Yeah.
Wow. So 45,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel in 4 months. I mean, that in itself is a remarkable. A lot of people would kill for that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And so my point is that I force myself to embrace different aspects of building a technology company. There's other things besides coding. You need distribution to build a really good company. In fact, I would say it's more important to have killer distribution and a good product than it is to have a killer product with just good distribution. You want to
Mm.
have distribution first. And so being someone who can manage people, recruit people, build great marketing, build great sales systems, I'm very proud of my experience there. And, um, you know, it's fun. I didn't go to Stanford. It is what it is. I'm very proud of my experience, and my competitors will know about my experience and how hard charging we are soon enough.
And by the way, shout out to Nicole Donnelly, who you were mentioning speaking and raving clients, and she is a customer of yours who we connected with. She's an AI expert and absolutely raving about you. So I want to thank her. But also, so you mentioned raising VC money, which I imagine you didn't do with the last company. You didn't mention it. What's that been like as a founder, having to build the plane and also rebuild the engine, or whatever metaphor you want to use? What's it been like raising money?
Yeah, I mean, we have angels on our cap table who are very happy with the company progress, and we have a lot of interested VCs and firms that are reaching out to us. now that we have a lot of traction. Like I said, we're very profitable, but we want to build something big. So we're happy to forego profit in the short term if it means taking market share and being the leading brand for the future. Our ultimate goal with our company here is to help grow the productivity of American companies and help American companies get seen by ChatGPT. That means more revenue and more customers for fellow Americans. That means an increased GDP for America. And that means good things for everybody if that GDP goes to the right people. And so, we have a big patriotic vision here. And, that means that we're going to have to take on additional money as we're expanding. Right now, we have not, as of this recording, we have not raised venture VC money. We're going to run a process. We have a lot of interested people. We're focused on getting as close to our customer as possible, mastering that experience, differentiating from our customers, and then de-risking the company. Once we have a solid baseline, we're going to get more people reaching out to us, number one, but we're going to be a brand that can stand on its own without needing outside money. And if we're able to do that, we'll be able to build leverage that can move our industry into the direction we want to go.
I'm curious, one of the biggest risks as a founder is that you mentioned de-risking, but that there could be any one thing that changes that affects your platform or your business or something like that. When I was on this panel, I organized a panel of SEO experts, and this is where Nicole was talking about OpenForge, and someone else pointed out that Google in its early days released a lot more data, and they said that ChatGPT has been doing the same thing, and that OpenForge relies on some of that data. Is there a part of you that worries about, first, you can clarify if that's true or not, but secondly, do you worry about that at some point they may cut that off or they might start charging for it and it'll affect your platform?
No, we're not worried about it. One, because of the financial incentives for OpenAI and for Google and for whoever it is. So I'll give you a real life answer here. A real life example. When Google Analytics came out, it actually increased the market cap of the entire SEO market, traditional SEO market, because people realized, wow, we're getting so many customers from Google. I got to optimize for this and build more. The same thing will happen with OpenAI because you want people like us, or you want, purveyors and vendors within the system to talk about you and to optimize more people for the ChatGPT experience, because that will lead to a greater cultivation of the market, and that will lead to a greater market cap. And so when you expand the data and you provide value first, it's capitalism at its finest. You provide value first, more people use you, they talk about you, and then it increases your market cap. And so, no, we're not worried about OpenAI siphoning off their data or blocking it in any way. Of course, we play ball with their system. We do everything above board. We use, API and the data that they have. But they want us talking about it. OpenAI wants partners within the ecosystem telling people to get on ChatGPT and then telling people to buy from ChatGPT and use their shopping experience because it's good for everybody. It's a thing that works. Of course. I mean, right, anytime you build a platform on someone else's data or on another company's success, we are hoping and we anticipate ChatGPT and Gemini will take over the entire customer experience for a lot of online shoppers. But I think that's a pretty safe bet. I think that if we look at the world 3 to 5 years from now, that's going to be true. And so, sure. There's always anxiety there, but it would not be fun and it would not be exciting. It would not be entrepreneurship if there wasn't a little uncertainty.
You mentioned Amazon earlier, and Amazon has had an interesting relationship with the outside companies that depend on Amazon. I mean, I have known people that have built like 10, 20, $30 million companies that can't get through to an Amazon rep because Amazon is so big that they haven't invested in that, and it's not meaningful to them. And so it's interesting for some of these companies, like it's scary really to be so dependent. What has it been like for you building a company that depends on this much larger company? OpenAI, I think, is $1 billion company or $1 trillion company or something. It's on its way anyways. Do you feel that they know who you are? Do you have lines of communication inside of them, or is that something that, since they're so early days, they're still building those types of infrastructure out?
No, they have no idea who we are, and I don't expect them to. We're totally, little minnows compared to the giant orca that is OpenAI. I don't get my feelings hurt over that. That's just business. I think that the ideally, the difference here with the Amazon and the OpenAI comparison ultimately is that we're not selling physical goods. There's no fulfillment or warehouses or anything else necessary. And so there's nothing that they can really knock off from us, right? I mean, we're just expanding on the data on their platform and then helping people get on ChatGPT. But yeah, the risk is always there when you are, within someone else's ecosystem. You are in many ways, hoping that they succeed because that'll increase the market cap for everybody. But of course, there is no communication between OpenAI and us, and it's not in their interest. Why would they? We're small potatoes,
Yeah.
ultimately compared to them, and that's completely okay. We're
Yeah.
going to build a big company here, and we're going to increase the market cap for OpenAI. It's going to be worth it for them. It's going to be worth it for us, and our buyers, our customers, and the American consumer is going to win.
A lot of AI experts are speculating about ChatGPT and the others putting ads directly in your search results in ChatGPT. Are you preparing for that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna happen. They're going to have to find a way to monetize. If they've already had a massive valuation that they have, plus a lot of burn, they got to bring in cash. I think it makes sense to put in ads, at least in a tasteful way, in order to generate revenue. So I think that's completely fine. Yeah, we're preparing for it. We have our own data pipeline set up. It's part of what makes our company special, to make sure that when the ads experience does come, we can set our customers up correctly. I think ads are going to happen. ChatGPT needs to monetize. There's a plenty of white space for ads. If they could do it in a tasteful way that matches the customer intent of someone who is looking for a particular product, I think it's a win for all parties.
Yeah. It's interesting. There was a story that came out within the last week or so that said that there was some public opinion survey and the reputation of AI, at least amongst workers, was really low, which is shocking to me because I, like you, kind of hang out in entrepreneurial circles, and maybe it's by choice, but I've connected with a lot of entrepreneurs who are excited about AI and its potential and some things that it can do. And I personally am excited. What are your thoughts on that? Because obviously, if people, we've seen this happen historically where there are times that something comes out, some disruptive technology, and then the pendulum swings the other way, and it could get regulated. Who knows? So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think AI represents a massive opportunity for America to set itself out, to set itself, way above our international, the rivals or the powers there are. I want us to beat China. I want us to beat India, and I want us to beat them handily. And I think AI has the power to do that for us. With that said, I think for the average American worker, the average American consumer, it is scary. And I don't blame them. Why? Well, AI can automate a lot of what, not just blue collar work, but white collar work as well. It's going to happen to everybody. And so what we have to do is the government has to find a way to be active in pairing people who've been displaced by AI and pairing them with new opportunities, retraining them. But also, in a lot of ways, if certain jobs are automated out, giving those people a chance, a fighting chance, to work and find other opportunities, I think that's really important. And so, I think AI will ultimately really benefit the world and our country within the next 10 to 15 years. But I think until then, it's going to be a lot of turmoil. We're looking at a job market that is not growing right now, and GDP is still growing up. Companies are still making more money than ever. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's happening alongside the rise of AI. Companies are realizing they can shorten a lot of workflows without human labor. And that's a scary thing for a lot of people. And a lot of people are all going to lose their way of life. And I think it's important for founders, entrepreneurs in the AI space to be extremely empathetic to those people, because it's not as easy as saying get a job. It's if those jobs in your space are getting automated out, you're losing opportunity, and then you lose the fundamental promise of America, and you lose the fundamental promise of economic opportunity. I think that's bad for all parties. That the American people will lose faith in their government, they'll lose faith in capitalism, they'll lose faith in their institutions, even more so than they already have, and that's a loss for everybody, and that leads to nihilism, that leads to a whole bunch of stuff that we're seeing happening in the country right now with some recent people getting elected. It's bad news for everybody, and
Yeah.
we have to make sure that. People, it's a frightening time. Anything that messes with the food on your table and the money in your pocket is scary, and I totally get it.
I can see the passion that you have for this. This really harkens back to your roots and what you started out doing with your transition and helping, young kids and things like that. Have you thought about I see platforms like yours, which you obviously you're really early stage, but eventually they build like a certification program and eventually they get experts who come in and get certified. And then eventually they have an ecosystem of thousands of people who are working as a certified expert on that platform. And then if you even catapult that out even further, they're serving so many other companies to help them to get found online when they weren't getting found online before, getting found in AI. I imagine that's something that would be in your future.
Yeah. We ultimately want to not simply, take advantage of a large market and be a big player in a large ocean, but we want to help increase the size of the market. I think that's our patriotic capitalist duty, and that you're not just trying to make money, but you want to help others make money, increase the market cap, because then everyone wins. It gives you, as a company, more leeway to build new things and take big swings and experiment. But then it gives, the other guys, like new entrepreneurs, a way to make more money and then increase the GDP of the internet, and everyone can win by doing that. Yes. So the certificate program, building champions, I think that's the right way to go about doing things. If you start from a community-led, bottoms up approach where you can get the people who are your champions involved within the growth of your business, I think it's a win-win for everybody. And that's the type of marketing I love.
We're running out of time, so I want to wrap up with our last question, which was my gratitude question. But before I get to that, I want to ask you one last question. I want to give you the space here to make a pitch for kind of two things, and I can separate these out so it's not too complicated. But number one is, why should founders who are listening to this be paying close attention to ChatGPT, getting found on ChatGPT, especially now as we record this at the end of 2025, beginning of 2026, when it still represents such a small portion of the search market? And then I'll have a follow up after that.
Imagine it's the year 2005. You go back in time and someone comes up to you and says, Google is doing this thing called SEO. It's your chance to get on top of it. And if you're able to do this, your company will make millions of dollars because there's so much opportunity and so much white space. And the early movers are going to win big. They're going to win an outsized amount of market share if they do it right. Wouldn't you want to be on that opportunity? Why would you pass that opportunity up? AI is the future. You are not simply fighting for new business, you're fighting irrelevance. You need to get onto the AI data set so people, customers of the future and customers now, think about you, they know about you, and when it's time to make a purchase, they search ChatGPT for you. So think about it. You take a time machine, you go back in time. If you could hop on the Google wave, wouldn't you do it? Well, that's what's happening right now.
Well done, sir. And then why should they use your platform?
We have a customer first approach to our company. We are supported by happy customers, not venture capitalists. It's not hype that sustains our company, it's customer success that sustains our company. Our AI doesn't simply build things for you. It learns about your business. So it's a stakeholder in your success. And then it does the work for you. So our AI will learn about your business to help you generate revenue and help you save time. And those two things are the most important things that you should focus on when you're building a business. Getting that top line and bottom line up, but also making sure that you could free yourself for the things that really matter in life.
Nice. All right, my final question. I'm a big fan of gratitude, especially giving my guests a little bit of space here to thank anyone who helped them in their journey, in their entrepreneurial career. Who would you want to thank? Who would you want to shout out?
Yeah, my parents were immigrants. They taught me all about the greatness of this country and being very thankful to be here. I think that's a cliche, though, right? A lot of people would thank their parents. I'll go a little bit in a different direction. I would say my role model in a lot of ways is my wife. Back when she was my girlfriend, I was struggling a lot in my first company, and I told her, if do you hold any resentment toward me for being an entrepreneur? If a lot of your friends' boyfriends and husbands are getting their MBAs or becoming doctors, and here you are dating, at the time, just a loser ass entrepreneur who just couldn't get his company off the ground. And she said, no, she's proud of me for chasing my dreams. And the only thing she'd hold against me is if I didn't try hard enough to not only help the business, but also help myself because I was going through a tough mental time. Things are going well and I've succeeded, but she believed in me from day one. And I could not have done it without her belief in me, her kindness toward me, and the grace that she's shown me.
Jason, this has been great. Where can people go to learn more about you and learn more about OpenForge AI?
Yeah, openforge.ai, OpenForge.ai. If you guys have any questions on it, just contact me at jason@openforge.ai. Feel free to visit me on LinkedIn, Jason Patel, Jason, Patel, Patel. Looking forward to connecting with everybody.
Awesome, Jason. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Business Revolution podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.